Hello, 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 hello. Hope everybody's doing great today. You guys just have Brad today. Joe's going to be out for the rest of the week, but wanted to hop in here and talk about a couple of things that have been going on in the space. This is going to be a shortened version of the show, but there were a couple of things that came on my radar that I think everybody's probably talking about. And so I wanted to go through a couple of those things. First of all, hope everybody was able to catch up with the episodes of Mission DeFi that I posted up this week. We had Grow Protocol. We had talking about what they're doing and what they're building, and that broadcast live this week, and it's also in your podcast feed. And we talked about we had Fatty Bags on yesterday with an unbelievable story of not only what it was like building out Olympus DAO and making that happen, but also a really epic personal life story for him that influences everything that he's been doing in the space and whatever he's up to. Hold on one second, folks. I've got to check going on. I have a guest that may be coming on for us tomorrow on a protocol that I'm going to talk about briefly today, and then going to let him, the founder of the protocol, talk about it tomorrow a bit more. Anyway, let's go take a look. So anyway, hope everyone got a chance to watch those episodes and got something out of them. Would love your feedback, thoughts, or comments on that. Today, I said, like I said, it's going to be a short show, but I do have a few things I wanted to talk about. The first is Bean Protocol. So if you've been sleeping under a rock, then you don't know that Beanstalk Farms was exploited for essentially a shortfall for them of about $76 million. And, as most people know from history, that can be the death knell for a project. And in the case of Beanstalk Farms, I don't think it is going to be a death knell for them. It actually looks like it could actually turn into being an almost positive thing for them. And I know that sounds a little strange to say, but it seems like there is a lot of potential that them coming out of this exploit that they experienced is actually going to have some benefit to them. And like I said, I know that sounds strange to say, but the fact is this: the team has been responding in a spectacular way. So first of all, the exploit occurred because of their governance protocol. It was not an exploit on the actual stablecoin protocol itself. It was an exploit of the governance protocol. And it was actually one that I'm a bit disappointed that it was available for them to get hit with, because once again, it was an example of flash loans being used, and then an exploit of an on-chain proposal that allowed the exploiter to drain the funds of users. But the team, while waking up devastated on Sunday morning to the news and finding out and truly believing that their protocol was dead and done, their project was over with, had saw not only their core team, but their community rally around them in an amazing way, like really coming forward and saying, I mean, and by the way, these are people like Apple developers at Apple that joined the protocol in the last week. One of our listeners is working on the project, and none of them said, fuck it, I'm out of here. None of them said, you can't pay me, I can't work. All of them said, I mean, there may have been one or two, but the team has grown pretty large at this point. All of them said, we're in, we're going to make this work. We believe in this protocol enough that we see the promise in it. And despite kind of this shattering impact upon us of what's happened with the protocol, we're going to stick it out. then the community stepped up. I've been really following this closely because I've interviewed the Beanstalk Farms folks twice. You can go to missiondefi.com and search on Bean, and you can find both of the episodes that I interviewed the team for, and I will be having the team on again here very, very shortly to talk about this experience and what they've gone through. But the community rallied around. People that I'm watching in the chats, and people that have lost, $1 million or more are saying, look, it hurts, it sucks, but I'm here. I love this protocol. I love what you guys are doing, and I'm going to fight for it. And to me, that was truly amazing to watch. I mean, I was watching it in real time. Now, there were plenty of people angry, obviously, because they bet too much on this protocol. There were people that were scared of having lost their money, and I get that. But at the same time, the power of the community and the power of the team supporting the founders, I think really helped to drive them to find a solution. And the solution is actually brilliant, because the solution is to use the protocol to solve the problem. And it's really quite simple. Starting, I believe, May 2nd, so about a week and a half from today, they are going to have what they're calling a barn raise, which is a sale of pods, essentially, or bean, for future bean, which is how their system works, at great interest rates. So it's going to start maybe at like 20% and then climb over the period of a 10-day auction of people being able to buy up pods at great returns and be first in line in the pod line. So the way it works now is, part of what keeps the protocol functioning is people have the pods, and which is essentially bonds, and at a later time they get some return on their investment at that time, and they are in a line to get those pods. The pod line at the time of the exploit was like 600 million long, but you are paid in beans for your pods when your pods mature, and that's how one of the ways you can make money in the protocol. So they're very simply just creating a auction or a sale to allow people to buy these bonds and get in the pod line, but be at the front of the pod line. So investors that come in will get outsized returns on their money. They will be able to participate in the protocol. It goes to continuing to show the strength of the protocol, because it's how the protocol functions. They will be creating a new Bean stablecoin. I don't know if it'll have the same name or not. They came out with a new plan today, and I just haven't had time to go through it. But all in all, it's a really brilliant plan to just use what they have, their system as they have it, to save the project. If they are not able to raise the full 76 million, there will be some percentage haircut for people that lost money. But so if they raise 90% of that, then you're going to lose 10% of the money you had in. If they only get 50% of that, you're going to lose 50% of the money you had in. But at the end of the day, I was listening yesterday to some folks say that they were going to actually invest in the auction, even though they'd lost money, because the returns on that auction may offset the money they lost in the protocol in the exploit. So all in all, really powerful thing. And the other thing that was interesting to me is I was always enamored with the way this thing functioned anyway. And I think one of the biggest holes for it is its complexity. I think it's very difficult for the average person to understand. And I think that's one of the things they're going to have to address going forward, is how to simplify the presentation of the concepts to people. But one of the things that I hadn't even really thought through, despite having interviewed them twice, was that this was the fair launch of all fair launches, because there were no investors, there was no upfront, there was no pre-mint, there was no pre-mine, there was no nothing. These guys had to participate in the protocol just like anyone else. They spent 9 months building it. Nobody paid them to build it. They built the protocol, they built the system, and the system has really proven itself really well over time. So all in all, I'm excited for the future for Beanstalk. I think that this project, of course, this is not investment advice, but I truly believe this project has tremendous potential to be a powerhouse, and I think it has the potential to provide a link amongst chains. I think if it comes out of this strong, because the protocol saved itself, then I think this project will have a huge following and community and people actively engaged and building for it. So I'm going to have the guys on Mission DeFi episode. I don't know if I'm going to do it live or recorded, but we're going to talk through not only what they're doing to move forward, but we're also going to talk through the experience of how they felt that day that this all happened, and then how they have felt over the last few days recovering it. The other thing that these guys did, which I was very nervous about, and I reached out to a member of the team about it, was they doxed themselves. When they first interviewed with me, they had not yet figured out a way to disguise their voices. And so Benjamin, who we know now as Benjamin, one of the members of the team, I think the lead founder, was actually, I found out later, holding his nose while he was talking to me in the interview. And we were joking about that in a chat I was having with the guys yesterday, that they've come a long way. Anyway, I was nervous about them doxing themselves. I think it's still a risk for them, but I also think it was actually, in hindsight, a really smart move, because whenever these exploits happen, the first thing that the really shittiest people in DeFi do is accuse the team of stealing the money. And so what they decided was the only way we can shore up confidence and trust in us as the founders, as the team, as the core team, is to let the world know who we are, and take on all the risks with that. Like, when you dox yourself in this space, you are exposing yourself to safety risks, to being robbed, to being kidnapped, to being whatever. And it happens all the time. And so you're exposing that risk for yourself. You're exposing risk to your family of being targeted by people that are pissed that they were exploited. You're exposing yourself to the risk that you would be attacked because of the exploit, even if it wasn't your doing. And you're also exposing yourself to regulators. So there's a ton of risk inherent in that. And I think it's probably going to influence how they operate going forward, because now they will have to start thinking more closely about the fact that regulators are going to know who they are. And so the things they release, things like swapping mechanisms, et cetera, could in fact put them in jeopardy with regulators. So it's going to be interesting to see where all this goes. I'm obviously rooting for the team. I feel pretty confident about what they're doing. I've had some private conversations with the team, and I'm just so impressed with how they've handled the entire situation, and hope that they are able to succeed and pull out of this. Okay, so had a couple of things I wanted to cover today. So Kobe, in the way that he usually does, did a really brilliant article. The guys at Bored Ape Yacht Club approached him about their model for their token. And they asked for his opinion on kind of some of the things that they were doing and how they were structuring it, et cetera. And Kobe wrote this amazing piece. And there's a couple of reasons this is important. Number one, it's important because it's great feedback for the Bored Ape Yacht Club team for how they approach staking and their token and trying to preserve value and trying to keep people from selling. And the second thing it does is it's an awesome primer for projects, because essentially what Kobe does in this piece is walk through the fact that staking is essentially a method to try to keep people from selling. And look, he makes a point amongst the team that it looks like the staking that ApeCoin was proposing was going to be utilized basically so that when original investors were able to sell after their lockup periods, they'd be able to without other people that were staking selling at the same time. But he also goes really deep into the tokenomic structure and how, staking and handing out 17.5% of the total supply isn't probably the best use of those funds when there are there are literally that's 17.5% is right now worth $2.6 billion. So his point was, why not find a better way to get people engaged and holding with the protocol? Because the method of staking just to keep people from selling and to give people more of what they're staking is a silly method. I mean, it's common amongst almost every DeFi protocol right now, but the fact is that it's a silly method. Staking originally, as he points out in the article, was about securing a network, securing a protocol, and doing this with the kinds of money that this protocol has doesn't make a lot of sense because the staking is not doing anything for the protocol except keeping people from selling. Now, there is value in keeping people from selling because when they dump, obviously price is impacted and everyone is impacted, but ultimately everyone's going to sell those rewards that they get for staking. So you're just kicking the can down the road. And the perception issues for the original investors, basically wanting some liquidity, get out, is definitely there. The interesting thing was, there are a couple of points in this article that don't paint Bored Ape Yacht Club board. They have a board in the best light because it's semi accusing them of kind of setting up this staking model to benefit the original investors. I think that he was also pointing out that it made it so that if the original investors sold some of what they had when they were free to sell and were liquid, that it would prevent having a massive impact on price that would impact everyone. But the interesting thing was, even though there were a couple of instances of that in this article, this was an absolute world-class primer and guide on how Bored Ape Yacht Club, but more importantly, how the whole ecosystem should be thinking about staking and holding value and keeping people from selling and having them participate in protocols and thinking about what you're building. And it's absolutely beautifully written. It's simple, it's clean. And people were outraged in the Bored Ape Yacht Club community because they felt like it was an attack on the Bored Ape Yacht Club board. To me, it's absolutely ridiculous. I thought this was an absolute golden piece of advice. I thought he was doing them a favor. I think he's doing all of DeFi a favor with this piece. And so I think it's just silly for people to say that somehow or another he is slandering or harming Bored Ape Yacht Club with this post. I think it's an awesome post that'll be of great benefit to them and to the community. So one of the projects that I interviewed in the past is Babylon Finance, which is essentially a fund building system. And I really, Ramon Ricuro, the founder of the protocol, whom I interviewed, did a tweet thread on this product, excuse me, called the Fountain of ETH. And hold on one second with me, bear with me while I go find his tweet thread. I thought I had it loaded up, but I did not. But I'm going to load it up right now because I want to kind of go through the points he makes about this protocol, because I am aping into this one because I think this is really brilliant. So essentially, Babylon is a way for you or for a way for strategists to set up essentially their own miniature funds. They can charge interest on a commission on the funds that they set up, but communities can come together in Babylon and create funds with particular strategies in it. They pool all the resources together. So essentially most of the transactions are almost gasless. And they have good gains on the system. System's been in development for quite a while. They have an awesome team. They have good backers, but this is a great first introduction to Babylon. So if you get a chance, check out Babylon at babylon.finance. But I'm going to walk through quickly what he talks about in the thread as why the Fountain of ETH fund within their protocol is so powerful. So he basically calls it the number one place to deposit your ETH. The current APY at the time he tweeted this is 40%. It's right now at about let's take a look, 27.19%. All right. Target APY for the platform is 15%. Now, last week we were talking about the idea of staking at Lido or Lido, whatever it is, taking your STETH, borrowing against it, taking more money, putting it into stake more, et cetera, right? So I've been advocating for the fact that there are a number of staking pools that if you stake to get your Ethereum, so you stake Ethereum on the Ethereum network and you gain 4.5% APY, doesn't sound like a lot, but considering the fact that if you're somebody that's holding ETH anyway, and you want to keep holding Ethereum, then the idea of staking it when the price is down as it is now, and then earning 4.4% more, the exponential potential gains on all of that, if Ethereum gets to 7,500 or it gets to 10,000 or goes even further than that, are pretty astronomical. So the beauty of Lido and Rocket Pool is that you can take and stake your coins, take the coins you get as your receipts and use those to borrow against and get more tokens to put into the pools, and buy more ETH and put into the pools, or to play other strategies and plays, right? So my primary goal there is any way that you can grow more ETH or more Phantom, more of these protocol or blockchain tokens that I think are currently undervalued, then you are in a good place. So the idea here is you're earning more ETH. And so you can deposit, they are on Ethereum mainnet, and you can deposit your wrapped ETH mainnet on the mainnet with them gas free, right? The other point he makes here, and again, I'm not a tax advisor and neither is he, is that because you're putting this into a pool, the transactions that are happening on the pool are not taxed to you. So his point is that there's a very good likelihood that as you file taxes, having been in this pool, you only are worried about the taxable event at the end when you withdraw. Again, I'm no tax expert, but seems to make sense. Fewer fees and more profits. So all of the costs are shared by all the members. As of the time he wrote this, there were 372 members of the Fountain of ETH. So if you were trying to do all the staking and everything yourself, you would have to pay all the gas fees that went along with that. In this case, these are singular transactions of all the pooled assets. And so the gas fees are then split amongst the entire pool and are dissolved into the overall APY. So you would be out the gas fees yourself if you were trying to do strategies like this on your own. They're doing it for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So on top of that, when you join this pool, you also get their token, Babel, as mining rewards on top of the staking rewards that you get. So he said, then he talks about the value of staking with them, and you learn more and you get better, and you're dealing with people who are experts at doing this. The way the strategy works is STETH. So that is the staking token at Lido that you get for staking. And they take currently at that time, 3.7 million was allocated to a 3x leverage using STETH. So they were lending STETH on Aave, borrowing more WETH, converting WETH back into STETH and lending it. And they're not actually even having to stake it. They're just buying the STETH. So the beauty of it is they're not even going through the machinations of staking on Lido. Then they repeat that 4 times to achieve 3x leverage and a 10 to 15% staking returns with no liquidation risk unless STETH or STETH depegs from the price of ETH. So he said, here's the cool part. The cost to execute this strategy was only $550. So that equates out to, at the time of the number of people in there, less than $2 per member. And within 24 hours of launching it, it already generated 0.16 ETH. said, how does it compare? Then he then goes in to compare it against other strategies. At the end of the day, this strategy is paying a higher return than most of the other strategy or all the other strategies he outlined, and as well, any other strategies I can currently find. I'm going to dive into this one with a chunk because I think it has incredible value. I've got to bridge some ETH over from Polygon to do it. But frankly, this to me is a no-brainer. Now, the other big risk is contract risk, right? There is a risk of them being hacked or exploited. So you should take that into account. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice. You should do your own research on Babylon, on the team, on what they did to make this work and make it safe. But for my own personal use, I'm going to put some money in there. And I am spreading my money out amongst multiple investments these days between stablecoins and Ethereum plays and Bitcoin plays. So, do your own research and think about it, but definitely don't risk anything you can't afford to lose. Their website is babylon.finance. Again, there are other pools on there. That one's the Fountain of ETH. There's a stablecoin pool that's currently paying 27.92% annually using DAI. And I don't know what the Heart of Babylon is doing. That's the one that pays you Babel if you stake your tokens from the other gardens. These are called gardens. Here are other gardens that they've got going and running. Forever Stables, Stable Pebble, the Red Pill. So there's a lot of opportunities within Babylon Finance for your investing. And with potentially, you would assume people who are overall better at this than we are individually. This one's interesting. Forever Stables currently paying 46.2% APR. Let me quickly take a look at that. What's the strategy? It's all DAI. Thesis: farming stables with convex strategies. So really simple explanation, just completely investing in the convex plays. So that's very interesting. I like seeing it. That one's paying well. I would encourage you to go listen to my interview with Ramon. Really impressed with him and the team. And I think this project has a lot of potential. So I don't know why I had this open. I know what it is. Algophy Governance Vault. So the Algorand Governance Vault went live and unlocked 2.7 billion of liquidity for the Algorand DeFi ecosystem. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but I'm often harping on Algorand. I like to see them moving forward, and I think that seeing them having the governance system have staking rewards go online is a good thing to see. So I'm happy to see that. I am going to potentially have a guest on tomorrow from this project, a project called Printer Financial. One of our listeners is a member of the core team and the community there at Printer Financial. And at first blush, I wasn't excited. By the way, they are doing an upgrade to their UI and UX. But all I saw when I looked at this site was, oh, great, another bridge. And bridges right now are not very well regarded after Wormhole and other hacks on bridges. That said, bridges are going to be a part of DeFi for a while as people try to do more and more cross-chain. And so the listener that invited me to take a look at the project invited me to go listen to an AMA last night. And so I did. And the founders goes by the name of Atlas. And he was incredibly impressive on the call. And the reason, and this isn't the only bridge that does this, but the reason he considers Printer to be a better bridge and a safer bridge is because they do a burn mint process. So when you're bridging with Printer, the tokens you deposit are burned and then reminted on the other chain. So there's no holding of tokens, leaving them vulnerable to the kind of hacks that Wormhole went through. To me, this sounded very interesting. So last night, after I listened to the AMA, I came in and I actually bridged some tokens. Right now, currently, you're using their token called Paper for the bridge, which also actually makes me feel a little safer about it. There is the risk that you buy paper and while you're in the middle of bridging, the price drops, but they are building out cross-chain swaps as well. So you are going to be able to come in with tokens and swap those tokens from one chain to another chain to a different token if you want to. They currently are on 6 chains already, having just recently launched. The primary developer, Atlas, I'm thoroughly impressed with. Listen to him talk about his background. A lot of security operations, development, high-end enterprise level development experience. Overall, I'm just really impressed with how he talked about the protocol, what he's trying to build, why he built it, how he did, and what he sees as the use of the protocol. There's no pre-mine. There was no investors. There's no VCs in this project. It's just what you see is what you get. But the utility of this is what's most impressive to me. And one of the things I'm going to talk to him about when I have him on the show, he'll probably be on the show tomorrow here on DeFi Lunch, is, what their plan is from a business development perspective. Because for me, and they were smart. They've gone after protocol partnerships already that are with kind of mid-tier. And I think that's a really smart approach. They're going with protocols and chains that aren't, they're not on Ethereum yet, which I hope they will soon. But they are going after projects that they can integrate with. And that's really what I want to see a project like this do. I want to see it integrate tightly with other protocols so that protocols that are on multiple chains don't have to send people out to a secondary bridge. They can integrate directly with a protocol like this and start bridging tokens from within their interface. That to me is where a protocol like this could really thrive. But when I bridged, I should have saved some of that paper that I had. When I bridged using the protocol, though, it was exceedingly fast. I mean, there was no delay. I'm not waiting for big confirmations on either end. I bought their token paper that you use for the bridge for now. I bought it on Phantom. I bridged it to Polygon. And then every time I confirmed in my wallet, and then I bridged from Polygon to Binance, and then I bridged from Binance back to Phantom. There was not a hiccup. There was not a glitch. It went like that. It was impressive and fast. I never felt like I was like, oh my God, is my money going to go through like you normally do with bridges? It just was really a fantastic experience across the board. They're redoing the UI. They have a strong core team. I listened to all the team members yesterday talk about their plans, how they're growing the project, what they're trying hard to do. Diza, the guy that introduced me to them, has been really impressive in my interactions with him. I sent over a good amount of advice to him about what I think the protocol could do to grow. But this to me, so the other thing about this is they don't have a ton of liquidity right now. But what's interesting is their staking pools are paying really decently. And they have staking pools. I only know, so I've only looked at Phantom and Polygon, but they have staking pools right now paying decent APRs. And a single-sided staking pool that earns their other token, Inc., which we'll have Atlas talk a lot more about that tomorrow, but earns their other token, Inc., so basically you can single side stake and you're earning 427% in Inc. Against their token paper to stake. But you can also set up LPs and you're earning 323% with paper FTM, another liquidity providing of 428% with Inc. paper, and then Inc. FTM at 508%. And they have the same thing on Polygon. So they have a whole nother set of staking pools on Polygon. Look at this, 801% for a paper Matic LP. Inc. paper LP on Matic is 909%. Inc. Matic 1,437%. And deposit paper earn Inc. single-sided at 543%. So right now, this is one of those projects that I've been looking more and more and more at low market cap, micro cap projects that I think have good principles, good technology, good design, and good teams. And this is one of those projects that's now kind of on my list. And so my goal is to start diversifying my portfolio into you know, 15, 20, maybe up to 30 small micro cap projects that I think have good bones. And with the hope that a couple of those, like a venture capitalist, maybe 3 out of 30 or 2 out of 10 or 20, um, hit the moon, right? Because if they can pull it off and do the right things to get the projects integrated properly, I think there's a ton of potential for a project like this to come on board. And from what I heard in the AMA yesterday, they have quite a bit of plans for growing this out and adding new functionality. The cross-chain swap thing will be amazing. If I can use a protocol like this that's very fast, that I feel safer about from a bridge perspective, that's less complicated, easier to use, then the idea of being able to rapidly bridge and swap one token to a different token and be on the other protocol I want to be on is fantastic. And if they can integrate with existing protocols and make it easier for me to hop around, for example, Beefy, right? Like I want to do multiple protocols on multiple chains on Beefy. Well, it would be ideal for Beefy to have a platform like this integrated. Because then their users don't have to leave and get distracted by going to a bridge to try to get tokens over, and they can reduce the resistance and friction to getting people to participate in their strategies. So if you're sitting on 6 ETH in Polygon, but you like a strategy that uses ETH on Phantom on Beefy, it'd be really ideal to have a protocol like this integrated directly in so that those cross-chain transfers happen and into the token that you need them to be in. So anyway, really, really impressed with that. I don't think I had anything else major today, guys. I said it was going to be short, but it was actually not that much shorter than normal. We're at 37 minutes so far. Lots of stuff happening in the space. I have been, and Joe and I have been buried on a project we're working on. And so we really decided this week to take some time to focus on that project. So that's what the last 3 days were. But I miss doing this. I miss talking to you guys. I miss hearing from you. And I'm glad to be back in the saddle. So thank you so much for listening. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Please like, share, subscribe, rate us on Apple Podcast tools and on YouTube. Thank you for listening and watching. And as always, if you'd like to reach out with your ideas, with your suggestions, with projects like Printer Financial that you think are interesting and have potential, please don't hesitate to message me, B05Crypto, B05Crypto on Telegram and Twitter. Same on Discord, #2143. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a great